Commerce Alive Today presents
Herpolsheimers. At the end of the Civil War in 1865, Prussian-American businessman and Union Army veteran William G. Herpolsheimer co-founded the dry goods business Voigt, Herpolsheimer and Company in Michigan City, Indiana, in partnership with Charles G. A. Voigt. In 1870, he opened a second store in Grand Rapids. He handed over management of the business to his son Henry B. Herpolsheimer in 1902. In 1928, the store was acquired by Hans Department Stores, a holding company which later morphed into the Allied Stores conglomerate in 1935. In 1933, the Hans Group would also acquire L. H. Field and Company of Jackson, Michigan, with the Jackson Field stores becoming a sister operation to the Herpolsheimer store in Grand Rapids. After suffering a fire almost 3 years prior and following subsequent litigation between the parties, the William D. Hardy Company of Muskegon, operating Hardy's department store, agreed in 1947 to merge its operations with the newly opened Herpolsheimer's branch location in Muskegon and proceed as Hardy Herpolsheimers. A brand new building for the flagship downtown Grand Rapids location was constructed and opened in 1949 at the northwest corner of Fulton Street and Division Avenue, also fronting on Monroe Street, on which its former store was located 2 blocks to the west. The former location was sold to local competitor Würzburg's. In a departure from the traditional department store format, Herpolsheimer's opened locations selling only furniture, appliances, televisions and limited hardware in the Tower Building at River Avenue and 8th Street in downtown Holland in October 1948. It operated until at least 1955 before closing. The first suburban full-line department store outlet for the growing chain was acquired from Würzburg's in Wyoming in 1974, and the Hardy Herpolsheimers in Muskegon was later assumed into the Muskegon Mall development in 1976. With the opening of the Southland store in suburban Wyoming in 1974, the store officially rebranded themselves as Herps, which is how they had been colloquially referred to for many years, including a new logo. In 1981, L.W. Robinson, an old line department store in downtown Battle Creek, was purchased and rebranded as Herps. Starting in 1985, the downtown Grand Rapids store was reduced in size, with the remainder being converted to a shopping mall called City Center. With the City Center grand reopening, Herpolsheimer's officially reverted to its full name, giving up on the shortened Herps version from 11 years prior. The full Herpolsheimer's name was restored to the downtown Grand Rapids, Wyoming, Muskegon, and Battle Creek stores. In 1987, the 2 Herpolsheimer stores in the Grand Rapids area were merged into Allied Stores Indianapolis-based William H. Block unit and were sold to Federated Department Stores. At that same time, the downtown Battle Creek and Muskegon stores were sold to separate local groups of investors. The Battle Creek location reverted to its former Robinson's name, while the Muskegon store returned to its Hardy's moniker, while the 3 field stores in Jackson were shuttered. Later in November of that year, the 2 remaining Herpolsheimer stores, now under Federated ownership, adopted the Lazarus name. As part of Federated's bankruptcy proceedings after having been purchased, ironically, by Allied, the entity that had spun off Herpolsheimer's to Federated in the first place in 1987, the Lazarus division announced it would shutter the 2 Grand Rapids area stores in the City Center and Wyoming Village on September 8, 1990. Thus ended 120 years of retailing, 117 years with the Herpolsheimer name and the final 3 as Lazarus. The city center itself would finally close at the end of July, 1993, after most of its shops closed. During the pre-Christmas shopping period, Herpolsheimer's operated the Santa Express miniature train on a monorail suspended from the ceiling of the basement in its downtown Grand Rapids store. When in operation as the City Center Mall, the space below the train served as a food court and the train was run year-round, painted in a non-seasonal livery. The train is now located at the Grand Rapids Public Museum.
If you have any fond memories, please indicate it at the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and like.